Good morning, Happy New Year. We're going to start out the year right. We'll call the court to order. Quorum is present. Our legal notices have been posted and the court is now duly called. Can I get a motion to adjourn the court for the December term?
So moved. Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any unreadiness? All those in favor, let me know by the usual sign of vote.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Chairs in the affirmative. Can I get a motion to open the court for the January 2016 term?
So moved. Second.
Got a motion and a second. Open the court. Any unreadiness? All those in favor, let it be known by the usual sign of vote.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Chairs in the affirmative. The bailiff, please open the court.
All right! Dallas County Commissioners Court is now in session for January 2016 with the Honorable John Raleigh Price presiding. Please remain standing for the invocation.
My invocation today will be given by a guest of Commissioner Dr. Teresa Daniels.
Pastor, Brother. Good morning, and Happy New Year to you and to everybody here. 2016 is going to be a tremendous year. We're all looking forward to it. But we'd like to welcome Pastor Karen Belknap, and her contributions to our community have been various. Karen Belknap has served as a pastor of Inspired Vision Church for over 17 years. Inspired Vision Church is located on Military Parkway in Dallas, Texas. She also founded the A+ Charter Schools, Inc., which recently celebrated its 17th anniversary. At Charter Schools, Inc. is comprised of A+ Academy and Inspired Vision Elementary and Secondary School and serves more than 2,100 students in Southeast Dallas. Inspired Vision Church frequently provides meals for families in need of the Pleasant Grove community in addition to its other contributions to the area. Pastor Belknap's educational background includes a bachelor's degree from the University of Kansas, a master's from Anderson University, and some postgraduate work at the University of Texas Permian Basin. So thank you very much for your contributions.
Thank you, Dr. Daniels. Let us pray. Dear God, today I pray for our county, our state, and our nation. I pray for the divine wisdom for our judge and our commissioners as they lead our county. We thank you for their tireless service, and we ask for personal rewards for their service. We pray for the citizens of our county that were ravaged by the tornadoes over the holidays. We ask for peace and protection over our country, our state, and our city. Guide our leaders as they make decisions for the citizens of our great Dallas County. We ask your blessings today in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
With all due respect, the recipient has been able to come today, so I will postpone for another time.
Yes, thank you, Judge, colleagues, members of the audience. Happy New Year. Welcome to your Dallas County Commissioners Court. Our resolution is going to be received by Tanya Stanford, which is here with us today. And I will ask her to come forward to the podium with her delegation. Stanford, you can come forward. And the resolution reads as follows. Whereas human trafficking is a form of modern-day slavery in which traffickers target vulnerable populations, including men, women, children, citizens, and non-citizens, forcing them into servitude and/or the sex trade. Whereas victims of human trafficking suffer severe emotional, psychological, and physical terrors at the hands of their captors, who instill fear to keep them enslaved. Traffickers typically use multiple means to control their victims, including beatings, rape, isolation, drugs, alcohol dependency, document withholding, and psychological and emotional abuse. And whereas nationally, the criminal enterprise of human trafficking is second only to the illegal drug trade in terms of the speed of its growth and being among the most lucrative international crimes. In Texas, Dallas has been identified as number 2 for human traffic activity, Houston being the number 1. Texas is notably listed as one of the states with the highest incidence of human traffic in our country. Whereas the police chief of the state of Texas are dedicated to protecting the citizens in our communities from human trafficking and ending this horrible crime through continued prevention, prosecution, education, and awareness. Texas House Bill number 2290 is a bill that designates January as Human Trafficking Prevention Month in an effort to bring awareness of these behaviors and encourage everyone to be proactive in targeting victims and offenders of human trafficking and alerting authorities. State Representative Tom Parker created and took the bill HB 2290 before the Senate. Ms. Tanya Stafford, here with us today, testified on this bill and was instrumental in getting it passed. Ms. Stafford, a survivor of human trafficking who knows firsthand the perils of living in this situation, is dedicated to the justice issues that serve as the underlying cause of modern-day slavery, exploitation of women, men, and children. In her vision to alleviate traumatic occurrences of rape, physical abuse, and sexual molestation that the victims of human trafficking face, Mrs. Stafford founded the nonprofit organization It Is Going to Be Okay in 2014. And whereas It's Going to Be Okay in works towards the eradication of trafficking in persons by educating the general public about the causes of this epidemic and by partnering with other nonprofit organizations, law enforcement, and government agencies to provide victims who are now survivors with recovery programs, housing, jobs, training, and counseling to help them restore freedom and, more importantly, their dignity. Now, therefore, be resolved that the Dallas County Commissioners Court thus hereby recognizes January as Human Trafficking Prevention and Awareness Month and appreciates Tanya Stafford, founder of It's Going to Be Okay, for her hard work and dedication in the battle against human trafficking. And I so move.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. Good morning. It is my goal and my purpose to provide educational awareness and advocacy on human trafficking, a subject I unfortunately had to experience as a young lady. Being reared in Dallas, I came up in South Dallas. And the way I provide the educational awareness is through the voices I have encountered along my journey that assisted in sustaining me and eventually allowed me to become a survivor of human trafficking. Those voices were the people who encouraged me and breathed positive affirmations into my life prior and during my captivity. We all know the story of how the caged bird sing by Maya Angelou. Well, I was the caged bird until about 20 years ago, hoping and praying someone was looking for me, and that day someone would find me so that I could fly away from the cage that the sick and predatory individuals had placed me in. Nonetheless, before I give you some brief history, you all know that human trafficking is a form of modern day slavery. It is the highest it's higher than the drug trade. So I work to do the education and awareness and prevention on that. I'm going to rewind back to a little bit. Sold at the age of 13, isolated and alone from my grandmother, Carrie Elizabeth Carroll. She was the foundation for me, who was deceased but represented power and strength, which I related to the power of my mind for those first 8 years that helped sustain me as I was molested, raped, and physically and emotionally abused. But then came the other voices of those like Mr. Wilbur Williams, Percy Anderson. But always tell me how beautiful and smart I was. And my 6th grade teacher, Ms. Cheryl Taylor, saying how smart and beautiful I was. My 7th grade teacher, Mr. McCallum, at Fred F. Lawrence, also saying how smart and beautiful I was. 8th grade Miss Caldwell, and grade Florence. I'm sure you know them. Saying how smart and beautiful I was. Home economics, Miss Murchison. Will never forget her. She told me I was going to be a great young lady, and I am. Miss English, my teacher at Lincoln High School, and Dr. Napoleon Lewis, a pioneer in DISD at Lincoln, always told me how beautiful and smart I was and that I would make it even though I had babies, not by choice. And yet, hearing all those voices, I endured the isolation and abuse. I didn't know that what they spoken to me would be the key factors to my survival, especially when someone repeatedly telling you that they could kill you and get away with it, and no one cares, not even your mother, the one who saw me. But the final voice of my neighbor, Elnita Hamilton, who loved me enough and gave me the courage to step out of the bondage of human trafficking. And that fateful day, that day that he almost killed me, begging for my life, not for me, but for my children, that he wouldn't kill me in front of my kids. Who begs for their life, beg to come back so that you can kill them, but not in front of my children. Was the day that I survived. He choked me unconscious. And when I came to, she told me not today. That day I wouldn't die. Also through her love, taught me about the power of forgiveness as well. See, the power of forgiveness will not have you hoping anymore that he accidentally walked in front of the car and you accidentally run him over. The power of forgiveness gets you in places and doors only God opens and closes. Thanking God for allowing me to be the voice in the face of human trafficking and domestic violence. To whom much is given, much is required. It's Going to Be Okay is dedicated, the foundation that I founded, human trafficking through our educational awareness, advocacy with the passing of HB 2290, and the expansion of future services like safe houses, counseling, job placement, and higher learning. With that, I am asking the city for all its help and assistance in helping us to eradicate human trafficking, i.e. donating buildings, funds, anything that you can support us with, we will surely take it. Thank you. It is a collective effort for all organizations, faith-based organizations, police force, to raise awareness and shed light. And I am the surviving face of human trafficking. Thank you for bringing this to the forefront, Ms. Garcia. Thank you so much. Thank you, John Price. Thank you. Thank you, Judge Jenkins. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mike Cottrell. Thank you, Dr. Teresa Lee. Thank you so much. And I just want to say I appreciate everything that the city is doing on behalf of human trafficking. And it is taking a collective effort. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. I have my board members here. Thank you so much.
And also, I think Representative.
Sarah
is
Parker,
here. Representative, would you like to say something? And of course,
Well,
Ms.
just very, very proud, Tanya, and thank you, Dr. Garcia, and Judge, appreciate the opportunity to be here before you all. And from a state perspective, we obviously worked very hard this last session to address this modern form of slavery and to make certain that we eradicate it from Texas. I'm very proud of my colleagues, what we were able to accomplish, and it's because of Tanya's great courage and vision and bravery that we are having the ability to face this horrible crime and find a way to end it. And so I'm just so proud of you, and thank you for all you're doing and raising awareness. And I just pray the best for your continued efforts, and certainly from the state perspective, just like Dallas County's perspective, we'll continue everything we can to make certain that the future is bright. So thank you for all you do. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Representative. You want to introduce Ms. Stafford, the rest of your board?
Mr. Caesar Renty, my help, my support, my friend.
Well, I'm Caesar Renzi. I serve as Vice President for Pastoral Services for Methodist Health System. I had the opportunity to meet Tanya at an event that we had in our hospital, and she educated me about human trafficking. I had no idea. I'm sure as many of us had the extent of what it was. And so she did a good job of educating me on that. Asked me to get involved, and so I got involved by being a part of the board and helping give direction to eradicating this in our society. I think it's important for all of us. It doesn't just stop with law enforcement, and it takes all of us to eradicate it. It takes government, it takes every part of government, it takes churches, it takes people to be involved so that one day when someone is vulnerable, there will be somebody there to speak up. And I couldn't say no. As a pastor, I had to respond, and as a father, I had to respond.
Thank you. Thank you, Pastor. And of course, with the sheriff's department.
The Sheriff's Department, they're one of my big supporters as well. John, thank you, John White, and I appreciate y'all. And,
Children on the men.
yes, Children on the Men, one of my other big supporters, and help throughout this journey.
Well, let me say, and I heard Dr. Garcia's in second that resolution, but Dallas County has been targeting this for years through our juvenile department. And she talked about Harris County and Dallas County being number 2. Well, let me just tell you, in the region, we're number 1. We're number 1. And the Dallas-Fort Worth region is larger than Harris County. And we've been targeting that through our LETOP for years. And so I definitely embrace and implore you to continue to do. I also invite you to become part of our juvenile. Our young ladies, they've gone as far at LETOP. When these young ladies are rescued, we now deal with what we call the closet, because most of the time they only have what's on their back, and of course you can testify to that. A lot of times they show up in court, only what's on their back. And so what we've done now is continue to try to do that, plus engage and wrap services around the family. Because what we find is that's not just an individual, it's family. And so I just want you to know, and if you don't know, and of course I'm sure with Ms. Kennard you do, but we're doing something in Dallas County. We're targeting that whole piece. That's one of the things that they watch out around the so-called truck stops.
Yes. Yeah,
And so,
PDI, I volunteer with PDI.
so we just want to say thank you. Thank you for your courage. And you talked about Maya Angelou and the cage bird sings. She knows why the cage bird sings. The most profound thing that Maya Angelou said was, in all of the practices, if you don't practice courage, you don't practice it. And so thank you for your courage.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your courage and your smart beauty.
Thank you, Representative Parker, for being here as well.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr.
Judge and Commissioner, I call John Ames and members of the tax office down. I'm going to read the resolution and move its adoption. Whereas the Dallas County Commissioners Court takes special notice when an individual is giving long and faithful service to Dallas County. And whereas Deborah Lynn Green, known as Miss Deb, by her tax office family, was born in Dallas, Texas, to the late Johnny Frank and Della Green. She graduated from Eustis High School and went on to work as a customer service manager for Kroger for several years prior to joining the Dallas County Tax Office. And whereas Deb began her Dallas County career on March the 10th, 1997, at the Dallas County Tax Office as a motor vehicle representative, and retired on October 30th, 2015. After continuously and diligently serving the public for over 18 years, whereas Deb served faithfully as a tax office representative, a lead representative, an assistant branch manager, and a branch manager in the Richardson branch of the tax office. She possessed a vast knowledge of motor vehicle laws, policies, and procedure. She always treated customers and employees with respect and courtesy, meeting their needs and making customers feel good about their tax office experience. Deb's personnel file is full of customer letters and notes thanking her for making their experience pleasant. And whereas Deb was loved and respected by her coworkers for her professionalism, work ethic, leadership, and the ability to keep the spirit and morality up in her office. And whereas Deb was married to Bill Smith and had 2 sons, John and Jack Janelle, and was known as granny to her 6 grandchildren, who were treasured and dearly loved. She enjoyed spending time with her friends and family, which always involved cooking them their favorite meals. Deb also loved to fish and faithfully attended the Falls National Drag Racing in Ennis every year. Whereas Deborah Lynn Green passed from this earth on November 22nd, 2015, at the age of 62. Now therefore be it resolved that the Dallas County Commissioners Court is hereby recognized and extends sincere appreciation to Deborah Lynn Green for 18 years of faithful and dedicated service, and expresses sincere condolences to her family at her passing. And I so move.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Cantrell.
In favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you, Commissioner Cantrell, board members. Standing behind me are Ms. Green's coworkers. They would be here today with her in a couple of years when she officially retired. Unfortunately, we lost Deb Arthey. She was a member of our leadership team. She has hit our tax office. This loss has hit it very hard. These people worked very, very well with Deb. She truly knew the meaning of customer service, and she was a great example of the government of Dallas County should be. The citizens of Richardson knew her well, and we appreciate you recognizing her today. Thank you. Thank you.
Judge, Commissioners, and before I read this last resolution and ask Ms. Rachel Hill to come forward and the delegation with her, I think the court has been notified that our colleague in Harris County, L. Franco Lee, passed, massive heart attack on Tony. And L. Franco, Commissioner Lee was elected at both of us at the same time, same year precinct. And so our thoughts are with his family and at this particular time. And I think I'd ask staff that we will send a delegate to the services on behalf of Dallas County. He was, I think he was also a member of I know Council of Urban County, Texas Commission Black County Commissioners, told it just so many things, and he will be, he was 30-year county commissioner there in Harris County. This resolution is for Rachel Hill. Whereas Rachel Hill is a resident of Lancaster, Texas, Dallas County, and works as an operation team manager for McCormick and Company. And whereas Rachel Hill received her bachelor's degree in electrical engineering from Tuskegee University and was eventually initiated into Eta Kappa Nu, the Electrical Engineering Honor Society. And whereas Rachel Hill selflessly served this community as a planning and zoning commissioner for the city of Lancaster and will partner with the municipalities, independent school districts, and nonprofits in the southern sector to provide educational outreach programs involving space exploration with an emphasis on STEM and STEAM activities for minorities and disadvantaged youth in grades K through 12. And whereas Rachel Hill has been selected to serve as the Solar Systems Ambassador Volunteer for the year 2016 as managed by NASA Jet Propulsion Laboratory in Pasadena, California, and holds the distinction of being the first African American in Dallas County and African American female in the state of Texas to be named to this prestigious panel, and will serve as a conduit between NASA and Dallas County. And whereas the Solar System Ambassadors Program, SSA, a part of NASA, is a public outreach program designed to work with 615 motivated ambassadors in 50 states, Washington, D.C., Puerto Rico, the U.S. Virgin Islands, and Guam, who are charged with bringing the excitement of space to the public in their respective communities. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Dallas County Commissioners Court, with great regard and respect, do hereby join this community as it lauds and encourages Rachel Hill in her new role as Solar Systems Ambassador Program in Dallas County and the state of Texas. And be it further resolved that her acts of volunteerism and outreach be used as a model for young men and women throughout this nation who have been fortunate enough to get an advanced education and courageous enough to share that knowledge with fellow citizens in an effort to uplift the communities in which they live and work. And I so move.
Second.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries unanimously.
Madam Ambassador.
Hello. Thank you so much, Commissioner Price. I am so appreciative of the resolution. I'm very excited and I'm looking forward to serving Dallas County. I'm excited about space. I'm very thankful to NASA and the Jet Propulsion Laboratory for selecting me to be a catalyst to the youth. I'm very excited. I love children and I look forward to bringing a lot of programs and sparking the curiosity of our youth here in Dallas County. Thank you again, and I'm appreciative of my family and friends that have came here to support me, and special recognition to Tuskegee. Hey Tuskegee, thank you again.
Sound like a shout out to me. I thought all those were astronauts, man. But nonetheless, and I want to thank Mr. Marvin Earl, who is my appointee Department of Health and Hospital Systems Board of Managers, for bringing this to our attention. Also, a Lancaster resident, and his wife, Dr. Earl, and all of you. Thank you very much for being here and supporting this ambassador, and we know you will represent us well. So, thank
The
you.
importance of science and math in encouraging youth to get involved is huge. So thank you for stepping up, for going those extra miles to add such an important piece to our educational process.
Thank you.
Thank you to the court for
And I want to take a moment of personal privilege to thank a bunch of people, starting with people on drugs and diets, for their incredible work over the holidays on the tornado. The Commissioners Court has always supported these responses to emergencies, but I want to single out, it's always, I'm breaking the Ron Burke. Ron Burke's a friend of mine. He said, never single out anybody with your family. So I'm going to break out a little bit. But I want to single out Commissioner Price, who the day after the tornado, and I'm singling out a bunch of y'all. I'm just kind of working my way back. The day after these tornadoes, so the tornado, we declared countywide disaster at 9:57. And the next morning, Commissioner Price's Road and Bridge crew were out with Marshall De Los Santos, who, by the way, almost got an intervention from me because I don't think the man slept for 3 days. And I was going to the restaurant where I could find him so I could make him go into sleep, and I found him at home. But it was tremendous out there. But they were out there helping clean up the Sunnyvale Orchard Park at 9 o'clock the next morning. Commissioner Daniel worked to help us get BOADS to get the volunteer organizations assisting in disaster assistance center, which is up in Garland, and serves all 5 communities, and does a tremendous job. I was on there Sunday. Zach Thompson, I think the last email from him was at 2:15 on the night of the disaster. He was out setting up a shelter for people in the DeSoto Glen Heights area who were affected. Public Works was at our office doing the GIS map, so we could be the first place in the state to get FEMA and TIDM on the ground needed maps to be able to do that. Purchasing was there to get the debris management contracts in place so that we could begin to clear the streets. Daryl Martin was on the phone with us in those initial calls early. I want to tell a story of just how this, I think this symbolizes a lot of the non-first responder commitment. I want to also tell a story of the sheriff, but the DA's office. When this tornado hit, I got a call from the mayor of Garland, and he said he wanted to declare disaster, didn't know the format of that, and what should he do? And I said, well, text me anything with the word disaster in it, and I'll text back to you, received and accepted, and the state now will get started. And called Warren, my chief of staff, said, I'll be at your house about 10 minutes, we need to go to Garland. I said, call Randall Miller, who's the DA, who's assigned to us on these emergency situations. Randall called me on my phone, didn't tell me that he was in the bathtub of his Rowlett home with his 33-month pregnant wife, and said, how can I help?
33-year-old.
Randall is amazingly calm for a man who's got a 33-year-old.
He didn't have any power in his house. And so I told him, I'm going to go put eyes on it and talk to the commanders on the ground, but it looks like we have a major disaster. Stand by. So when we got out there and Moore and I had a chance to talk to the commanders on the ground, it was clear we had a major disaster. And so I called Randall and said, just email us the form, because I'm going to meet the mayor of Garland at the EOC, at the Emergency Operations Center in Garland. We're going to sign these documents, get things going. And things actually were already going. But Randall said, well, I don't have access to power at my house, so can I meet you somewhere? Well, he met us at an ad-hoc with a flash drive. And it was only, I think, the next day that I learned that the tornado had come within a few feet of his house, sucked all the water out of the toilet while he was huddled in the bathtub. But he was so focused on doing his job for the people of Rowlett, Garland, Sunnyvale, DeSoto, Glen Heights, and anyone that was affected in Dallas County. But he didn't even worry about that. Lauren and Ruby, who gave up their vacations to work 15-hour days with FEMA, and TIDM, the media, who was tremendous in getting the information out that our people who were most affected by the tornadoes needed. I mentioned Marshall De Los Santos, who was amazing. The sheriff, not just the sheriff's staff, but the sheriff herself, who was down in the mobile command unit. Glen Heights police station was hit, and had a mobile command set up in the parking lot of Dollar Store, and the sheriff was helping with that. Saturday night, I went down and saw Carl Sherman, who's just been a tremendous mayor for his people in DeSoto, and went out to where the damage was in Glen Heights, and it was all being staffed as far as keeping looters out of the neighborhoods by our sheriff's department. So they've been tremendous. Also gave us people in the EOC. Emily with HHS was in our EOC and did a tremendous job. And all of our mayors, Mayor Adams, Mayor Patel, Mayor Falk, and Mayor Tate were tremendous and wonderful to work with in getting TIDM and FEMA and the SBA down to look at the damages so that we can hopefully get a flow of aid to our citizens from the feds very quickly. obviously members of the faith community and the VOAD were tremendously helpful. Special praise for Doug Bass and our HSEM staff who oversees emergency management. Doug was stuck in an airport, had to sleep in the airport that night to get home to us. And Mike Kashiri manned our EOC the first night. Larry Thompson and Mike and Doug earned a lot of AOD time, I think, working through all those holidays to keep things going. ATO, yeah, that's right, I'm thinking about patients, I gotta write it. And also, be remiss if I didn't thank the White House who calls several times during this to kind of make sure we had everything that we needed. They've been, as always, tremendous partners in this, as have all of our state agencies. So it's not even unusual that you see this sort of collaboration and work with Dallas County departments and elected officials. You are always bending over backwards to help the public and help one another in times of crisis. And it's also not unusual that we see quick and seamless coordination with our cities and our county government through the leadership of these great mayors and city managers. This is going to be a long slog. We're going to be working through this for many weeks. Many people have been affected, but we wouldn't be where we are. We wouldn't have had the response that we have without all of your great work and all of your sacrificial giving of your time over the holidays. So God bless you.
And I really want to thank Dr. Garcia and Cantrell and all the people, of course, Rowlett is in his district. And so he had that, but they were calling, asking, what could we do on the ground. But you talk about those cities. I want to thank especially DeSoto Independent School District because in terms of Glen Heights, and I know most of the impacts seem to be on Rowlett and Garland. We happened to be there at Glen Heights and walked up the what I call Beltline Road to DeSoto. But Dr. Harris and the DeSoto Independent School District, they were the ones that did the stand-up out in that area. As you know, Glen Heights is between Dallas County and Dallas County. But they stepped up, and so I definitely don't want to be remiss in not mentioning my colleagues calling and offering their crews to do whatever they needed to do to assist us, but especially to the DeSoto Independent School District. They were very organized, did it up quick, and believe it, went into operation. So,
but then a part of that isn't being talked about too is called emergency preparedness, which means that you're already ready when emergencies happen. None of these people were meeting each other for the first time. It's because over time, over the years, you work with each other, you know each other, and you know what you can count on when you do have an emergency. And I'm so proud of Garland, the city of Garland, Garland ISD, the police, the firefighters, everybody there, because they're always working together. And that's what happens so that when there is an emergency, you can come together and really respond as a whole community ought to.
and MRC, Mr. Thompson, I'm not going to forget that.
And that's exactly, because you're ready.
Yeah, medical
Ready
reserve.
to
Yeah, those are our volunteers who practice these exercises all the time. In fact, we just finished talking about these tabletop exercises that we do for disasters. They can call on, I don't care if it's been the Ebola crisis, and they've been the ones that flank into the community, or tornadoes, MRC, and that whole volunteer effort. And by the way, anybody who wants to be a part of MRC, get with Health and Human Services because they're doing readiness all the time. Readiness.
And also the dissemination of information. I want to thank obviously the judge's office, but Mr. Thompson, what to do, how to tell people what to do in these kind of situations is very important. I know your department must have information in English and Spanish because there were a lot of other languages spoken during the crisis. And I really appreciate that, as well as Fire Marshal De Los Santos and Dr. Pepe, which coordinated some of the efforts as well with some of the other counties and went to our, part of our team, helping, disseminating information. People are in crisis, sometimes they don't know where to call, where to go, and, that information is crucial for everyone, specifically in the languages as well. So thank you all, and Commissioner Rivera. I know that your staff went on well.
And thank you to our purchasing officer, the director, for being very proactive on the back end of it for all of those individuals that lost their houses, what to watch out for, those kinds of things. So that's very proactive on your part. Thank you.
We will now have a presentation from the Texas County District Retirement System.
Before as they come, Judge, can I have just a moment of privilege? I want to recognize Elizabeth Garcia, a 10th grade student at Ebony Old Town View, Joseph Sanders Law Magnet, that is here with us today. Ms. Garcia, standing up, wants to learn about government and wanted to come and see us today. As well as Willie O'Brien, Mountain View student in District 4 and resident as well of our district. Thank you all for being here. I hope you enjoyed today's course. Thank you.
All right. Judge Jenkins, members of the court, thank you so much for your time today. I have a brief presentation.
And introduce yourself for the record. Pull that mic up just a little. And
yes. I have a brief presentation today just to give you an update on some of the upcoming changes at TCDRS. My name is Amy Campbell. I'm with the Texas County District Retirement System. I'm the Manager of Employer Services. And today, I just want to give you an update. TCDRS is proud of doing retirement right, and part of that is ensuring the success of TCDRS. And recently, our board voted on an update to our annuity purchase rates that actually put us in line with balancing out our benefits and the savings that we have. So over the next few minutes, I just want to give updates, and I'd be happy to take questions as we go. So to start out, how do your employees receive a benefit? Well, every single paycheck, a portion of their paycheck is taken and sent to TCDRS. It's put in their account, and it grows at a 7% compounded interest rate. And then, once the employee is eligible and chooses to retire, the benefit is based on their life expectancy, their age, and the option that they choose at retirement. So the amount of the benefit is based on those three components. And part of that, like I said, is an annuity purchase rate. And basically what that does is it converts your employees' savings and the match that they receive into a lifetime benefit. And TCDRS bases those annuity purchase rates, again, on life expectancy and that 7% interest. And in theory, what we're trying to do is for every dollar that they have in savings, we're trying to convert that into a dollar of benefit for them in the future. So this chart is interesting. Our current annuity purchase rates were adopted in 1986. That was almost 30 years ago. And that was exactly the amount of time that they were meant to last. And you can see this chart is based on a 60-year-old. And 30 years ago, their life expectancy was 82.7 years of age. Since then, it's increased to 82.5% not percent, 85.2 years old. So you can see that's really quite a large change over the 30 years. And we've noticed that at every age as well. Those, it's consistent that we're living longer. So because of that, because we're having to provide benefits for a longer period of time, the benefits that you're providing your employees is becoming more expensive. So, using our current annuity purchase rates, $1 of savings is now actually buying more than $1 of benefit. So we're a little bit out of balance. At TCDRS, if we did nothing, your costs were expected to increase in 2016 70 basis points, or 0.70% of your payroll. And for a large county or a large district with a large payroll, that can be a very significant amount of money. So, that would be an initial cost increase. And then as people continue to live a little bit longer, we expected that costs would continue to creep up a little bit. So bottom line, annuity purchase rates were adopted 30 years ago. That was their lifespan, and it's time for TCDRs to update those annuity purchase rates. So we designed a solution that would get things back in balance. And we spent a long time designing this solution. And it's important at TCDRs that not only that do we hurt benefits for current retirees or those close to retirement, but also to strengthen the plan for the future. So if you look at this slide, we had a few things in mind when we went to come up with our solution. Number one, strengthen the plan for the future. Number two, we wanted to ensure that any retiree right now didn't have a change in their benefits. So your retirees will have no impact on the changes of the annuity purchase rates. Also, we did not want to impact any benefits that were already accumulated. And we didn't want to impact the decision of your people who were close to retirement. We didn't want our change to impact a decision on when they should retire. We wanted to ensure that benefits would continue to grow, and that our estimates that we provide your employees are very close and reliable to what they've always been. And lastly, we didn't want a cost to our employers. So those were our main concerns when looking for our solution. So this is what is going to happen. This change in annuity purchase rates will become effective January 1st, 2018. And all of us who have been depositing are going to actually have two buckets of money. We're going to have old money prior to January 1st, 2018, and then new money going forward after January 1, 2018. So on this slide, your current bucket is the deposits and interest that you've already earned and any future interest in the matching. And then in the second bucket, in the light blue bucket, that's going to be any new deposits after January 1st, 2015, and interest that it earns and the matching that it will receive. And so let's take a look at that, what that really does. This is Jill. She works for Hazard County. She's been there for 20 years. She's eligible to retire, and she's 60 years old currently, and she knows that she wants to retire within the next 5 years. So being Jill, she's probably since she's close to retirement, she's been to our website, she's run estimates, she probably knows what her numbers look like, what type of a benefit she's looking for, and she's probably started to make some plans. So on this next slide, this shows Jill's benefit retiring at age 60, and this is implemented at 2018, and then 61, 62 thereafter. The brown bar actually shows what her benefit would be with no change. The dark blue bar shows what her benefit would be with the change, and then the light blue portion bar represents any portion of her benefit that is based on the updated annuity purchase rates. So you have the money prior to 2018 and the money after 2018. And you can see in Jill's case, there's very little difference when you compare those. In fact, if she retired at age 60, there would be no difference. If she retired at age 65, there would be a 1% difference in her benefit. But these are the employees that we really want to spend the time to educate, because these are the employees that we don't want to influence their decision to retire. Because I think that they might come to you and ask, is it important for me to retire prior to 2018 before this happens? Well, if you remember a couple slides ago, I said it's important that their benefit continues to grow. And you can see at age 61, Jill's benefit has grown by 9%. So if she would have retired prior to this happening, she would have lost out on that growth of her benefit. And why does it grow? Largely because of the compounding interest in the system, and she's a year older. So the interest and then the life expectancy. So you can see at age 61, her benefit grew by 9% and is only lowered by 0.16%. So it really behooves her to wait to retire and not use the changes in the annuity purchase rates to motivate her to make a change. All right, Joe. I'm Joe. I'm 50 years old. I've been here 10 years. I'm currently vested but not eligible to retire. I want to retire when I'm 60 or 65, but I know that my salary is probably going to change in the next 10 or 15 years. My employer can change my retirement plan in the next 10 or 15 years. I've logged onto the website for sure. I, have an idea of what my retirement will be, but I don't know the numbers, in my head like Jill may. So when we look at the estimates for my benefit, it's again represented the same with the brown bar with no changes, and then the blue and the light blue with the blend. You can see that at age 60, my benefit is about 3% lower, and at age 65, the benefit is 4% lower. Well, I still have 10 or 15 years to retire, so I can take that into consideration. I have time to plan for that. And then finally, we have Sally. Sally's your brand new employee. 40 years old, she has not made a deposit, and she won't until after 2018 until the new purchase rates are put into place. So she hasn't logged on, she hasn't earned any benefits, she hasn't run an estimate. And so if we look at her estimates, you can see that age 60, her benefit is about, 8% less than it would be if we made no changes. And at age 65, about 10%. So that's how it affects different employees are in different parts of their career.
You left out one group of our employees. Well, what about employees who've been here for 8, let's say we've got a woman who's Sally's age, but she's been here for 8 years, so she's not vested yet, but she has paid money in to the system. What happens to her when she retires? Let's say she's been here for 8 years. So her 8 years that was whatever it was, 2018, that's the old system when she retires, and her, whatever it would be, 20 years that is after 18 would be whatever that is?
Correct.
And so if she bought an annuity when she retired, her annuity rates for the 8 years before 2018 would be based on the old, and her annuity rates for after based on the new.
Correct.
So it really doesn't matter whether they're vested or not.
You're right, it doesn't.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. Just 10 years is the longest vest. So no, it doesn't matter if they're vested or not. However many years of service. It really depends on retire eligibility and not vesting.
If they put $1 in, no matter whether you're vested or not, no matter what your age is, sex or anything else, you're going to get your pre-2018 dollars treated the way they are now.
Exactly.
Those 2008 dollars treated slightly differently because of the year.
You're absolutely right. So it doesn't matter how many years you've worked. If you have deposits and interest that you've earned prior to 2018, it will remain in your old bucket of money or with the old annuity purchase rates. Any deposits after January 1st, 2018 will then be put in the new bucket and treated with the new annuity purchase rates.
Well, all that sounds good. I'm back. Where are we on the budget side of this in terms of what's our contribution?
Our contribution is right now is 10.5%. It fluctuates each year based on what basically the market is doing. I expect that this year will stay pretty close to that same number.
Dollar-wise?
Dollar-wise, I believe it's like $45
million.
And 0.7% would be roughly 2.8 million on what our payroll is. And so I mean, the impact on this is I think I was going to ask Amy when they're going to update the calculator, because I think that's when people will be able to actually see things.
I'm going to talk about that right now. All right. So making this update actually in our annuity purchase rates requires a change in our administrative code. So at TCDRS, we posted and updated a rule, our administrative rule for public comment on October 30. And on December 10th, our board voted in favor of this update. So what do we do now? So what we're going to do as an organization is we're going to start to really educate our employers, our employees, and retirees on this update. In the Next Horizons, which is the member newsletter that comes out, there's going to be an article talking about this, as well as a 3 to 4 minute video that your employees can click on that gives a very simple explanation. As well, the online calculator is going to be ready and up and running in early 2017 for your employees to run estimates. They'll be able to do it online if they log on, or they obviously can call us as well. We can run those estimates for them. So to recap, again, we're updating our annuity purchase rates, and it's meant to do a couple of things. Number one, strengthen the retirement plan for the future, have no impact on retirees, have minimal impact on those who are closer to retirement, and also be cost neutral on average to all of our employers. And so at this time, I'd like to take any questions, but that's it in a nutshell.
Commissioner, I think to just help a little bit, let's look right here. What you're talking here is that let's assume the person decided they wanted to retire at $2,300 a month. They're looking at probably 4 or 5 months of additional work to reach that amount. Literally, that's the difference on that time. That's the first person. Jill's, we're talking months. Even in Joe's case, you're still talking less than a year of additional work to reach that target. In Sally's case, we're talking like 1 year. So basically, some people decide on retirements at their age. Others are actually looking at dollar amounts and saying what that dollar amount is. A new hire is looking at working 1 year longer if they had fixed the dollar amount. So it is I'm not going to say minimal, but there is limited impact on this, and it really does help keep the employer costs down, which for us as a fixed rate plan, we're already as low cost as you possibly get without changing some fundamental things in our plan. But some of the variable rate cost plans are seeing some seriously large employer costs, and they're probably the ones that are really worried about the additional dollars.
And let me just tell you, because some of my predecessors, thank God for a fixed rate plan. I see the state rep had to leave, but thank God for a fixed rate plan. Because in those years when people were dealing with variable, they got tagged. And Dallas County fared extremely well under fixed rate plan. But the thing is, in talking to employees, the most difficult thing for them to understand is a budget and appropriation, and the fact that's the reason I wanted the $45 million stated. I mean, that's a budget plug number. I mean, we're having to pay that money, so it's not some phantom in the sky. Yeah, we can talk about a 15% county turnover rate, but we still got to, at the end of the day, you got a budget at $45 million. And so it's real money, and that's not to take away from your plan. I'm just saying, when at the end of the day, it's real money for our bottom line, and so that it'll be seamless. People understand that there were years that people arm wrestled, and I'm sure you weren't around. Dallas County wanted us to go to a very important plan. We said no. We're going to stay with the fixed plan.
We're the only ones that's on fixed.
We are. We're it.
And we want to keep it that way. Let me tell you why, because we're seeing what's going on with all the variable, counties that have this, and cities. I mean, we just read some of what other cities are going with. And the most important part is what you presented today, Ms. Campbell, that we keep up, with the variables. That will continue to be an asset for our employees, that when they retire, they have an amount. I mean, the fact that Mr. Brown just explained it in less than 3 minutes on how long it will take for an employee to get to this part, makes total sense. So I like the fact that it has very little impact on our employees because like Commissioner Price says, the last thing we want you all to see is, decrease in your paycheck. But also for us as employers, as a county, that it has not a cost neutral because we just hear that it's going to be around $2 to $3 million additional to the 45 that we have in past. But nevertheless, hey, how much do we have in healthcare? 10 to 15 million dollars a year. Hey, $2 million, amen. Let's move it on. So it makes sense, and thank you for the presentation. Very well done.
And if I may ask, this is a system-wide change, so it's not an individual decision by the Commissioners Court. So if they do ask you, it is a system change. You do not have control of the decision.
Correct.
Right.
All right. Thank you all so much for your time. Happy New Year.
All right, our next item, is our consent agenda. Is there a motion on the consent?
Second.
Discussion, and all those in favor?
Aye.
In favor, motion carries. Our next item is the award of bids. Is there a motion on the bids? Motion by Commissioner Bell, seconded by Commissioner Price. Any discussion on the bids? Hearing none. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Our next item is court orders L1 through L34 on addendum 46 for a later date of 20. I'm sorry. It's 6 for a later date and 20 until after the closed session. Yes. Any other items of this out?
You're going to be in the additional language added before we run that. So I'm at 1 through 36 excluding Court Order 6 and 20 with the addition made to Court Order 9. Second.
Just real quick, there's on Court Order number 8 for the election. In your briefing, and the start date on that of March of 2016. They'd like to delay that to May of 2016 to give them more time to set up the project.
I thought that was clear from the email.
It was. I just wanted to put it on the record.
But in the record, we're going to correct it.
That's right.
Thank you, Mr. Brennan. I was going to make some comments about that, but if that is somewhat on the record already, I agree. It's a primary. It has the wrong date. That's what it is.
You need just that additional time to set up.
Definitely.
I don't know if I probably did, busy on other things, but I sent an email, I think, to my staff, or maybe my staff, and when we do an election for like City of Dallas, we get to pass on some of the cost to them, right? Okay, thanks.
Sure. By all means, I'm going to pass on some of it.
But I mean, the new payroll thing, it's passed on.
Payroll bill is something you pass on. That's in the office. I guess, what's your cost?
I don't know.
Well, the only thing that we can't pass on the cost of the program, but any personnel that works towards that implementation or processing for that election, we can charge back for those county employees working with this program.
So the 221, yeah,
No, not, that's a county program part. I thought we could, but after reading the statute, we can't.
Well, I want to appreciate all, with your response, Mr. Crispo. I mean, just the fact that it's the same company, that in the past we have some issues, give me a little pause at the beginning, but hey, I know that your staff is going to be very involved in all these spaces, and obviously, you clarify a lot of my questions, and if the date is corrected, I mean, when I saw the date, I said, oh my God, we're in the area about it.
Right.
So if that has been delayed, I think it'll give you a good amount of time to work.
The company is, in the last 3, they've done recruiting. It's going to be.
Absolutely.
And will continue.
Yeah.
Right.
And that will continue.
Correct.
I did a lot of the answers that they had requested think Janet was trying to get a hold of the company just to see.
Well, we gave her the information.
I did talk to them yesterday, so I've resolved most of my concerns.
Well, the cost.
And so if Audubon's happy and IT is happy and you're happy, then.
We're all happy. We want to make you all happy too.
Are you happy? His budget?
I also wanted to, Judge, you asked, so you received a letter from the state about agenda item number 5, which is the North Texas Behavioral Health Authority Transition Planning. I know that Commissioner Price, Commissioner Daniel, and I, and obviously Mr. Stretcher, as our chair now of the North Texas Behavioral Health Authority, Mr. Michael, Mr. Brown, and I, this is extremely important. I hope that your question was answered, the way that you expected.
Seems to me to be answered. Do you feel comfortable? I just passed it on to Rob. Mr. Treasurer, do you feel comfortable that the issues expressed by the chairman are covered by your response?
Absolutely, Judge, and thank you for the opportunity to comment on that. This has been a very difficult process for our community because we're being made to change from a system we really embrace. And we are fully committed to following the community's goals of no waiting lists, open access, the wide provider network. The really only change in our general transition plan is we don't believe we're going to need an administrative service organization. The expectations from the state are fundamentally different than they were in the old system, and we think there are better ways to accomplish this. We did bring in some consultants who are very experienced in community mental health centers, and they support this recommendation. We're working on a revised transition plan to reflect that. That will be on the agenda for NITBA next week on Wednesday. But I want to be clear to you guys in the community, our commitment is to continue open access, no wait list, and broad provider networks. We're there.
And while we discussed it at DHLT and we embrace it, it is still really an undertaking.
Oh, yes, sir.
It is an undertaking primarily because, first of all, funding. Number 2, because of the different payer mix that we had grown accustomed to rely on. And so there's about 35,000 individuals out there that we are going to have to figure out how to try to manage so that we don't have these issues. And I know that our best efforts are moving forward, but it is going to be a challenge.
It is a huge challenge, but the commitment that you are making today to this process is significant and will allow us to move forward. We've got strong community partners. Meadows Mental Health Policy Institute is helping us significantly. Mental Health America is right there with us. So that's important. This commitment today.
Ron, let me ask you this. It sounded like from your response to me, the chairman's letter, that maybe there was a misunderstanding about what we were doing. Has there been any other state legislators or state leaders who have expressed concern about what we're doing today or opposed to what we're doing today?
No, sir, they have not. Now, they want to stay updated on where we're at in the process because our legislative delegation was very invested in this. And, they came together and went to bat for us. And when we saw we couldn't, win the big battle, we took what we could and moved forward. And they want to know where we're at because if they have to help, they want to help.
So what we're voting on today, our delegation, as far as support for it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now, they all share the same concerns. Can we pull this off in a limited funded environment? But they want to support us in that all the way around.
And this item in particular, Judge, is a transitional funding. The reality is Dallas County has to step up to the plate. Everybody's ready.
We don't have a choice.
We don't have a choice. So, but I wanted to thank, obviously, Commissioner Price for his leadership in the behavioral health And then, of course, you as well, Dr. Daniels, and I see Jenny Metzinger, I think she's here as well, and everybody that serves, in these two bodies. So this really is an undertaking. We don't really know, Judge. We have an idea of the plan that we want to follow, but we'll see what comes after these negotiations. But I'm very glad that, hey, we're doing as much as we can to keep a system that has been successful for a long time, as successful as we can under the new.
The main thing is we're taking about at least a $10 million hit.
At least.
At least.
But at the end of the day, this impacts our neighbors and friends and folks that we work with in our justice system, folks in all of our systems it impacts. And so we have a moral responsibility to step up and make this happen. And I appreciate your commitment and support to this.
I have a question about the funding piece of it, because Dallas County is, in essence, fronting the transitional funding. And the state has dedicated or has committed to pay transitional funding. Is that going to kick in at a later date, or what's going on with that?
That is one of our biggest barriers. First, I guess it's an editorial comment. When things come out of the legislature, you've got your riders. They try to cover all the bases, but often they're done at the last minute and don't. The rider that affects this is kind of ambiguous. It allocates $1.5 million for transition services, but put it in the budget for 2017 and did not make it clear that could be accessed before. This is one of the big things we're working and engaging legislators on. We believe that at the end we'll be able to be reimbursed, but remains to be seen. We've really stressed, if you want us to transition, we got to have access to the funds to do that before 9/1. So that'll be an ongoing issue. But this will allow us to get done what we need to get done.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your leadership, Mr. Stretcher, and we really appreciate it. I know you've been pulling way too many directions lately, and we appreciate it.
But the court has committed to this and has given the resources that we need. And as we come and ask for resources, you've provided them, and they're producing. And so we're all working on this, and I appreciate your support.
I just have a real quick question on number 19, and it's the new training position for HR. The funding source wasn't mentioned, and is that something that was already included in the budget?
As part of the FY16 budget, there was $400,000 that was set aside for staffing adjustments in the purchasing department. We had a new purchasing agent in the HR department. We anticipated that a new HR director. Purchasing has utilized some of those funds to make some good changes in their office. They're continuing to work on some other issues that I know I'll be seeing in the next couple of months. Urban continues to do a great job as the HR director. It does support that we have this trainer. This will allow us to move forward with the plan that you guys adopted back in March to do training for the managers. And so for that reason, you could say it's funded and move that direction.
Okay, thank you.
And also, I know I have talked to Mr. Graham about this. Bilingual training will be fantastic as well. No pressure there. And last but not least, Josh, I would like to give some kudos, to our treasurer, Ms. Paulina Medrano, on agenda item number 33. It continues to make a difference when it comes to investment companies that she's bringing forward, not only for, being safe, but for the liquidity and their solvency. And I know that Ramirez and Company, which means Marcus is here with us today, is 86% minority owned and women-owned, which is great. And they have, a great coverage over the state of Texas. So we're looking forward to work with new partners and, mainly that understand the diversity that is important for this company.
I don't know whether you did want to say anything about this, Treasurer Medrano, that the way that our system is set up, we have a bank of firms that assist the county in making investment decisions. And one of the things we definitely try to do is have a diverse group that we rely upon. And what does Ramirez and Company add to this mix?
Thank you, Commissioner and Judge. We had our financial review committee in December, and what we wanted to do all last year is to interview different broker-dealers. And as far as my research, that there has not been a change in 17 years in Dallas County. So we wanted to bring some diversity to Dallas County. So we interviewed, I would say about 10 broker-dealers. And Ramirez and Company came up far ahead of all the other ones. They did do a wonderful presentation. Their experience, they do business in and around Texas as well. And Tracy Marcus in particular has been trying to come to Dallas County for 7 years. So her presentation was absolutely an incredible presentation, and I know she'll do great work for us. We want to make sure that now that the feds brought up the rate, that we are doing what we can at the Treasurer's Office to make sure that we have a safe investment that is diverse, that we have liquidity, and we have nice yields. So thank you very much for your support in this for Ramirez and Company, and we know that she'll do a great job. Any questions? You know Tracy Hines, our Chief Treasurer.
Commissioners, if I could take this as an opportunity and also remind you that you will start hearing about the debt issuance that we will be doing. I'm looking at trying to do it in May, so it'll time out with some of the costs for the records building. So the Financial Review Committee will start meeting, and Ms. Quintana will be presenting some stuff to you guys as we move forward.
So since you brought it up, and we haven't even got into, I talked about it earlier, that 45 million with regards to the retirement and all these dollars. You need to provide the corporate spread, where we're going for 2021. What does this do? Impact each one of the projects.
That absolutely will have to be done, and that will dictate the size of the debt issuance, which is why I consciously didn't say an amount, because I don't quite know. And on top of that, you have the radio project, which is also moving along. They just extended the bids to be received at the City of Dallas to the end of the month. So that process, we don't know exactly what that's going to look like either. So, but the balls need to start getting aligned, because we do need to have some money in the bank to be able to issue some very large contracts, probably May.
But you need to do a spreadsheet for the course
Yeah,
of the
I will.
month.
Absolutely, positive have to do so.
And one more thing, I failed to introduce our investment manager, Daisy Young here. Be working directly with Tracy Marcus. Again, thank you very much.
Also, I wanted just to mention, Ms. Medrano, I saw the 3 cheers in the Dallas Morning News about you helping some of my constituents to ride the elevators at the records building. Thank you very much. It was very nice.
Thank you.
It's been our ADA.
You know, the kind of human stories is doing when everybody was kind of out during the holidays. We had mailed a check to, I don't know whose constituent, but the check had been chewed up in the postal service. Yeah, and the bank would not honor it. They would not honor it. This person was really devastated, was about to be homeless, was about to get out. They had less than 24 hours, and of course, usually when you call bureaucracy, they said, there'll be a couple of weeks and we'll can issue the check. The man needed it the next day. And I want to thank Ms. Medrano, Mr. Warren, Auditor's Office, everybody who just pressed into service. And that gentleman was able to come, pick that check up the next day. The family that did not have to be, in their car. It was just amazing. And I sent them all emails and all that. Just thank you for not being selfish during that time, going over and beyond all the bureaucracy.
So first, that morning is 3 cheers to the Commissioner of Court and all elected officials that are working, during the holidays for everyone to have an excellent stuff.
Hearing none, the question's been called. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right. this is the section for a discussion session. However, we have no items on the discussion session. So the next item will be our flu update from the Health and Human Services.
Yeah, I sent an email to Carol that we'll do it next. We've been out all with the tornado.
Right, yeah. Take the president on that field.
And I believe we have no further presentation. And this takes us to our registered public speakers. Will please read the rules for
All Commissioners Court attendees are hereby advised that this meeting is conducted in accordance with the provision of the Dallas County Code, Section 74-71. Visitors and registered speakers are to preserve order and decorum at all times. Personal, profane, or slanderous remarks are inappropriate and would not be allowed at any time during this public meeting. Any and all calls will be kept brief in observance of time constraints. Disruptive visitors and/or registered speakers may be removed and are subject to the penalties provided in the state of Texas Penal Code, Section 38.13, 42.01, and 42.05. Registered individual speakers are limited to a maximum of 3 minutes, and maximum discussion on any one topic is limited to 30 minutes.
Happy New Year. My name is Dolores Phillips, address 2385 Sweetwater, apartment, Grant Prairie, Texas, 75050. Honorable Jenkins, you will be receiving handouts and an FBI CD that was released to me April 28, 2015. My concern is that just as massive as this cover-up is the conspiracy. And it is against the law for any school, private or public, to receive federal funds, grants, scholarships from the government with malice intent to deprive any student beyond race of a fair and equal education. Ms. Abigail Noel Fisher has been heard twice at the Supreme Court for allegedly being discriminated against because she's white at University of Texas at Austin, being denied access to become a student. From the time I enrolled at DCCD Mount View College in 2008, before I became a student, because they didn't want me in school when I filed a complaint over at EEOC, the United Brotherhoods of White Supremacy had already sent their word to deprive my fair and equal education, and that's very easily done here in Dallas County. No citizen should be afraid to speak to the government and share with them good news and bad news, and I'm not going to be afraid because the FBI, I kept wondering how could Dallas cover up so much corruption with the FBI literally right down the street. I'm here to say in the utmost humility, I love my country, but my country does not love me back, and racism is at the core, and nobody is going to use me to be their patsy, poster child, or scapegoat to say that racism is over. When I shared with you, Honorable Jenkins, that I had a meeting with Professor Paul Shaver when he gave me a D when I easily made an A, that was because he was a part of, and I'm alleging that he was a part of the criminal conspiracy because they did not want me in school. Honorable Jenkins, you can have and you can request, because you are a judge, you can ask to speak with Ombudsman Betty Tully, who was at the time mediating for my grade to be changed to an A, which they already know that I easily made an A. You can call and speak with President Garrett if he's still president over at Mountain View College. Honorable Jenkins, I need you to know that this massive cover-up entails a cover-up when Chief Conkles was in office. I pleaded with him to speak with me. I wrote to Honorable Robert Casey when he was in office. When the FBI released 39 pages in 2012, they said that that was the only 39 pages that they had on file for me. When they released over 400 and some pages 2015, that was 5 years later. The federal court labeled me a vexatious litigant based solely on the fact that the FBI was saying that I was requesting repetitive documents. It's a massive cover-up.
I'm being used as the scapegoat. FBI, Dallas Police Department, and United Parcel Service has all thrown me under the bus, and racism is at the core.
All right. If we could be mindful of our time, and like this read, I'll tap the gavel. Please be mindful of the time. Next is Mr. Richard Sheridan.
Good morning, Rich Sheridan, 11301, Dennis Road, Dallas, Texas. Appreciate being here and Happy New Year. Let's all pray that this is a great year for we the people, because we the people certainly are under attack by the federal government that we're fed up with. The title of my speech today is The West Dallas Lead Poisoning Genocide. It is genocide. And Argos, that concrete plant they plan on putting next to a school. The Dallas Morning News ran a 3-part story in December 2012 that extensively covered the story of the RSR lead smelter, Superfund, and the remaining issues of soil contamination and the lead sicknesses and deaths that have not been addressed by either EPA, the City of Dallas, nor any other government agency. Here are just some of the findings of the news article. 1, West Dallas still troubled by lead. 1/3 of the 36 West Dallas addresses tested contained lead greater than 100 parts per million. In the soil, the federal EPA Texas cleanup standard is 400. Prorated, 1/3 of all land in West Dallas has lead contamination. The smelter stopped spewing lead decades ago and the cleanup no longer declared complete, but the scuff of a child's shoe, the little black child in the picture, can set dust astir. Renacia Smith, 4, waits for her family after services at the Liberty in Christ House of God Church in West Dallas. The church property had the highest level of lead found in recent soil testing commissioned by the Dallas Morning News. Danger is just underfoot. Dog's death signal trouble. David Lee Ramos, 9, an Hispanic boy, recently tested at a lead level of 5 ppm in his blood, which has been linked to health problems. He was diagnosed with autism in May. In searching for cause, mother learns of son's lead exposure. Here's pictures of the 2 children, a black and Hispanic. 65% Hispanic, 35% black. And they've been ignored. They've been ignored. And people are still dying in West Dallas, as William Hopkins has said many, many times. Many times. Sepulveda, former Dallas County Justice of the Peace, said, sure, we want development out there, but you can't move forward without it being cleaned up properly. Dallas Observer published an article this past December which confirmed the findings of the Morning News investigation of toxic chips resurfacing in West Dallas yards. In summary, so here we have a situation where all levels of government are blatantly negligent in taking care of the physical land pollution and human disease and deaths from lead poisoning in West Dallas, and we are to trust that relocating the Argos cement plant next to the Edison School will be just fine, and there will be absolutely no detrimental effects from a typically polluting concrete plant. Boulder Dash, forget about it. The minority people in West Dallas, and I believe that's in Commissioner Garcia's area, are being deceived and abused again. Is there an honest lawyer who would take on both of these cases and make millions from the hundreds of millions in settlements? And thank you very much.
Next speaker is Mr. Dominique Alexander. I'm sorry, Minister Dominique Alexander.
Hello, how you doing? Address 2512 East Overton Road, Dallas, Texas 75216. I come here on the behalf of my community and the community that I grew up in Oak Cliff, Texas. In this community, there is a school that has been the pivotal of the city of Dallas and Dallas County. That's South Oak Cliff High School. I have saw in this commissioner's court the dignitaries and the highest public officials speak out about a lot of information. But I believe that the core of any developing in great city, in great county, is the foundation of their schools. I don't know how, over these years, that elected officials have neglected and have allowed this school to go to this disarray like this. During my stay at Dallas County Jail, I saw some similarities between Luce Dairy Jail and Sappho Cliff High School. That school looked worse than that jail facility. But I talk about the conduct and the conditions of this jail facility that we have neglected, the people that's sitting in there waiting to await their trial, that's not having opportunity to be able to bail themselves out. The inadequate law library that they have, where Texas Criminal Code procedures have a copyrighted date of 1998. And I asked a few people how many laws has changed in the Texas Criminal Code procedures since 1998. There's over thousands of those. These are people that the law says innocent till proven guilty. They're awaiting their trial, but yet they're funneled in a system that feeds them into the system. We can ban the box, but if we don't help inadequate the box that's feeding them, we're just like that dragon, that great dragon, because every time we don't create and fix that box, we're feeding that dragon. I ask that this county speak up about the feeding pattern that's feeding our jails and our prisons. We can lead in a county, in a state that makes the highest prison population in this country. We can lead as a county that does not feed these children right to the Dallas County Jail and then send them on a farm down there in South Texas. Sappho Cliff is beyond horrible. And there's many other schools in the southern sector that has been like this for so long. And it needs to stop. It needs to stop. We need our county commissioners to speak up about the schools in their community, especially the schools that's in the poverty-stricken communities, because that only feeds the system that's over there, that big mountain that's over there. Please, I ask that you do not feed the box.
And our last speaker, I don't see her here, is Yvette Balazay. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, we have one more on the list, William Hopkins, but I don't see him either. He said names 3 times, Yvette Balazay, William Hopkins. I don't see them.
I am Yvette Balazay.
Oh, I'm sorry. All right. Well, I do not recognize.
All right. Well, I'm Yvette Balazay. I'm at 5123 Echo, Dallas, Texas, 75215. Today, I'll be giving a speech in character. You have a lot of questions. I know you all have a lot of questions, and that's why I'm here today, to give you answers to these questions. I know you've heard rumors, but my overqualified, hardworking staff and I at the Dallas County District Attorney's Office, we don't operate on rumors. We operate on facts. And here are the facts. More women die from suicide out of every 100,000 people than from breast cancer and from cervical cancer. And I don't think suicide in this county is being taken very seriously. Most women who die from suicide are in the age range of 45 to 54 years old. Fantasies of murdering myself come from being depressed, psychotic, impulsive, and paranoid. Drug addiction accounts for 50% of all suicide.
Our rules,
I didn't say any names.
okay, but our rules don't allow anything that could be deemed as offensive and.
These are just facts.
Oh, I understand, but my understanding is that you're dressed as our district attorney, and she may be offended by this characterization.
Oh, I'm dressed like Yvette Balazay in a blonde wig, and I'm giving my speech, and I'm not saying any names.
If you would like to use the rest of your time to speak about issues.
Yes, sir, I will.
But
I will.
Stay away from any impersonations, please.
Right. Okay. Here are the facts of the drugs that our district attorney has admitted that she suffers from. Hydrocodone, Oxycontin, and an Adderall-like drug. In layman's terms, opiates like heroin that are more addictive than heroin and more difficult to quit. Drug addicts in recovery make amends, and our district attorney has not done that. On November the 17th, she came here requesting $730,000 instead of the $700,000 within the budget. That's a $30,000 Christmas bonus for lying and stealing from the people in Dallas.
That's a second warning, so I'm gonna have to ask you to sit down.
Yes, sir.
Lying and stealing
Could be, well, this is what is being,
So, Ms. Balazay, with respect, please.
all right, we won't tell everybody what's happening in here, I'll just go outside.
The rules in here, I'm here. All right.
And that's how she is a drug addict. That's how she's enabled to be as destructive as she
Closed
is.
session. One item on our closed session, report 20, that will be voted on in all likelihood after a brief discussion in closed session. Any items discussed in closed session will be dealt with in the open session as action necessary. All items in closed session are items that have been posted under chapter 951. We'll begin on our Anybody else freezing out? We're back in, the court is back in session. Is there, I'm sorry, we're gonna have, let everybody get here. We're back in session. Is there a motion on court order 20? So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Price and a second by Commissioner Graham. Any discussion here now? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Yes, unanimously. This concludes our business, no action, no further action necessary as per the closed agenda. Court will stand in recess until 2 o'clock.